Stephen Neish. In Gibraltar, the name is synonymous with broadcast journalism. As a young reporter in the 1980s, he was thrust straight into the front line. One of his first assignments was the tragic death of a woman following the collapse of a wall at the ICC, and shortly after, he became the man whom everyone turned to for news of the IRA shooting and the subsequent inquest. Still a fresh-faced newbie, he interviewed Sir Geoffrey Howe, the architect of the Brussels talks, at one of the most critical times in Gibraltar's history. In his time, Stephen has interviewed every chief minister to take office at number 6 Convent Place, and possibly every MP to pass through Parliament. He's provided live commentary at every general election, by-election, every referendum.
On that very lively note, I'm afraid I have to stop the gentleman. That's all we have time for, I'm afraid. I do hope you'll be able to stay with us to find out what happens in elections 96. For now, a very good night to you. From a professional point of view, my first, if you like, big assignment was when I was sent to cover a round of the then Brussels Agreement talks with the late Sir Joshua Hassan still as Chief Minister of Gibraltar, and the late Sir Geoffrey Howe was then the Foreign Secretary. I had only been in GBC a year and a half, I think, so I was quaking in my boots quite literally, I think, when I was sent to do that. It turned out also to be the coldest winter since the war, since the Second World War. So we were shivering literally in our boots, waiting to be admitted to do the interview. So that was one highlight in a sort of way, even though it was a bad moment when I was living it. The memory of it is very intense. I remember also when the IRA incident here in Gibraltar, it happened on a Sunday, and I'd been out with the family having lunch in Spain. And we drove back and we heard something had happened. And the first thing that I realized was how the profession that we are in is all-encompassing, because I came up to GBC and most of the other people had come off their own bats, as I had done, just to contribute. And we put on a special program that night with what had occurred. And then I was also entrusted with covering the inquest that followed the shooting, which I did on a daily basis. So that was also, if you like, a bit of a baptism of fire for me in terms of reporting on court proceedings.
No man has overseen more developments to television, radio, and online news on the Rock. He's stood up for the core principles of journalism: accuracy, fact above conjecture, freedom of the press, and the public interest. He is universally respected among prince and pauper alike. Stephen's face and voice will be missed among the community, but no one will miss him as deeply as his staff. Over the decades, he's built a rapport with his colleagues, always robustly defending them, mentoring them, and guiding them to the high standards he set for himself.
But especially the newsroom team will miss you, Stephen, because anybody from the newsroom, you have to know that Stephen will defend you to the hilt. Even if you commit high crime, Stephen will defend you, and he has. So he's been a true friend of all of you, of all of us in the newsroom, because I spent 9 years as well there, and I'm sure that he defended me equally, and I know that he did. So thank you very much for that, Stephen.
My pleasure.
And before my final words,
I said it in my farewell speech here today. For me, the newsroom truly is a second family for me. I have my nuclear family, I have my extended family with relatives, but this is very much a part of me. The people here are more than friends, really. You are all obviously my friends, but it goes deeper than that, I think. I mean, I've always wanted to look out for all of you, as all of you have for me. And you know that when you retire, there's always a moment of sadness, which I'm feeling at the moment, even though I'm happy to retire and there's many things that I want to do, but there is that feeling of regret almost that you're leaving friends behind. I hope that we will be able to stay in touch. I know everybody says that you'll do it and it's not easy, but somehow I think that in our case we will be in touch every now and then. There will be a new editor, of course, in place before very long, and I wish him or her every success. I'm sure whoever gets a job will be very well suited and very well qualified to do it.
Stephen Neish will now spend his time doing what he loves best, sharing his life with his friends and family, especially his young grandson, Sebastian. But he has not yet discarded returning to the airwaves for the occasional cameo.